Welcome to the David Dean Show, a weekly look at West Georgia Wolves football, brought to you by Systems and Methods. SMI, a proud supporter of West Georgia Wolves football. Two left, wing right, Candler to throw, left side, wide open, Henry touchdown. Malik Henry.
And we're going to get a late hit on the quarterback.
And hello again, everybody, with head coach David Dean, Mitch Gray with the West Georgia football wrap-up from week number 1, season opening game. Coach, you work all through from, the end of last season up until last Saturday, targeting the opening of a new campaign. A 34-3 win over a good football team out here at Ra-Lin Field. Coach, your thoughts on the win?
Well, obviously, very excited to get off to a 1-0 start. We did not come out of the gates very fast. It was a very sluggish start, both offensively and defensively. I think we made a great play with Montreal Pardue making that interception, which kind of kick-started our defense and put them into a different level. But our offense never got clicking until probably midway through the third quarter. We stalled out in the red zone, were forced to go and try a couple of field goals, and we need to finish those drives. But all in all, there's a lot of things that we can improve on, but there are a lot of things that we can take from a positive standpoint and build on from that game. But take nothing away from Catawba. They were a playoff team last year until we kind of faltered at the end. They should have been in the playoffs, and they're going to head in that direction again this year. It was a very good football team and a team that came in here with a purpose.
Coach, throughout much of the ball game, 7, 8, 9 men in the box. Hard to run, but still you ran for 200 yards, plus 200 plus in the ball game.
Yeah, we did. Our offensive line did a great job of creating some seams for our running backs, and I thought Vaughn, Christian, Royalson, Sam Adem, all of those guys ran the ball extremely well, despite being loaded up in the box. We've got to throw the ball better, make more plays down the field, to open up that run game and not allow people to load the box on us. And that was one of the things that they were able to do. They kind of made us one-dimensional, and we just weren't throwing the ball in the ball game, and we had to rely a lot on the runs and try to get out and use our speed a little bit. And it was a lot of hard-earned yards, but yards that we needed at the right time in the second half.
Willie seemed to get a little more comfortable as it went along, threw for a couple of touchdowns, and you had that great catch by John Hurst that seemed to kickstart everything in the third quarter.
Well, there's no question. You could tell the excitement. We kept saying somebody's got to make a play. Somebody's got to make a play, and John stepped up and did that. And that was exciting to see. We got a great special team play with K.J. Palmer later in the game, but that play that John made, the catch of reaching back and making that catch in traffic, really, that was the kickstart to us and helped us to start playing much, much better.
As far as the defensive end of it goes, that was a team that was balanced, had an outstanding running back, several good receivers, yet you gave up under 200 yards.
Yeah, I was really surprised at that because I thought that when I came in and saw kind of their game plan of how they were going to do, I knew we were going to have to be able to stop the run. And we were able to do that, but they did get a few runs here and there. But the big key to the game was we made them one-dimensional. They couldn't throw the ball very well, and the quarterback was throwing off of his back foot a lot. Our defensive line and the pressure that we put on the quarterback kind of forced them to have to go to their running game.
It seemed anytime it was more than a 3-step drop, they were very, very uncomfortable. No matter what personnel group we had in, you played a good many people, and they all seemed to get after it pretty well.
We did. We dressed 84 in the game and played 74 of those 84, and you can imagine there was we went through a gamut of kickers, as you probably know, but we had about 3 or 4 specialists that didn't go, and then about 3 quarterbacks that didn't go. So for the most part, everybody that was a position player outside of the quarterback and specialist got to play in that game, which is great for us from an experience standpoint, and it helped us to be strong at the end. But we just kept bringing guys into the game and kept putting pressure on them over and over and over, and it kind of forced them to have to throw fades and throw quick game. And with the pressure that we had from our secondary in there walking up into their face, that was going to be tough to complete over and over.
Quick game we seem to tackle pretty well also.
I was very pleased with that. You're always scared going into the first game because you don't get as much tackling practice. You're kind of scared to do that. You work on it, but not on a daily basis. It's kind of every other practice or every 3 practices. So you're always scared of how your defense is going to be able to tackle, how your special teams are going to be able to tackle. But for the most part, I thought that we did an outstanding job of tackling and did not miss very many tackles throughout the game.
I know special teams, we talked, kicking had a burp or two. How about overall? You had a return for a touchdown, and the overall special teams, covering, returning, everything.
Well, I was very, very pleased. We made vast improvements from last year. Their best field position on their kickoff returns, our kickoff coverage team was the 25, and that was when they were having the fair catches and we were kicking the ball into the end zone. So that was their best starting position on the night when they had the returns. Obviously, we had really 2 great punt returns before the KJ Palmer return. Malik Henry almost broke one. He ran into our own guy. The 2 times that we broke long punt returns, our own guys made the tackle. And we just got to do a better job of getting out of the way and turning and blocking downfield. But I thought our punt team was outstanding. We had, I think, 5 punts inside the 20, and 2 of those were inside the 10. We averaged over 40 yards in net punting. Christian did an outstanding job, great coverage. They only had about a 3 or 4 yard return, and that was when the guy caught it and pushed himself out of bounds. We only had 2 opportunities on kickoff return, and we returned them to around the 25 or 30 yard line, which we've got to do better than that. But we only had 2 opportunities to do that, and I'll take that every week. But our special teams, with the exception of our field goal kicking and our extra point, was greatly improved, and obviously that's going to be an emphasis for us this coming week.
I know so much is it. Well, the bottom line is team accomplishments, team victories. But I have to ask you about Devontae Jackson. He had 90 yards rushing. He surpassed Felix Addo on the all-time school rushing list. And you're getting into some pretty heady company when you pass that man in anything.
Well, there's no question. I was very fortunate to be able to coach Felix Addo when I was here, and he was an outstanding player. And when you pass a guy like that, that speaks volumes. And Devontae deserves this. He works very hard, like I talked about earlier in the week. His work ethic this summer has been second to none. He has put himself in a position where he's going to go out with a blast in his senior year. And if the first game is any indication of how hard he's going to play and how hard he's going to go and how much of a leader he's going to be, this is going to be a great year for him. And we're just hoping that he can stay healthy and our offensive line can stay healthy, and we can continue to have that running game be so productive for us each and every week.
And a note on that, he went to it was 95 instead of 90 yards with Devontae, and then he didn't really touch the ball in the fourth quarter. We had the long kick return, and then we had Christian and Sam handle the football when we had the big lead. So not a bad numbers day for him.
No, it's not. Again, they're very tough numbers because they had 8 men in the box, and there was many times there was 2 guys unblocked, and he had to make either one miss and one guy run him down, and he was able to do that. And they were tough yards. They were hard-nosed yards. And, he stuck his nose in when he had to. I think the only real mistake he made was probably in the first drive of the game when he caught that ball in the flat and didn't lower his shoulder and get that first down. He tried to dance a little bit too much, and we ended up a yard short. And with his power, he can lower his shoulder and drive through that and make that first down. And I think he understood that and realized that later. And the rest of the day, he ran with that low shoulder, low body position power.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit. First game of the season in the books. How did we come out injury-wise?
Well, I think we're pretty good. Malik Henry had an ankle injury and a knee injury. He got rolled up when he was blocking downfield, so we're really not sure if he's going to be able to play or not. I don't think it's extremely serious, but it might hold him out a week or 2. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. Obviously after a first game, you're going to be banged and bruised a little bit. But that was probably the most significant injury that we had. Thank goodness we're going to be going into this game almost again full power.
Well, you got Limestone coming in, an opponent we don't know a lot about. They played an FCS team, their next door neighbor, the other night. And Gardner-Webb's obviously pretty good. What have you seen against Limestone?
Well, Gardner-Webb is a good football team, and they're an FCS team. And Limestone had them 10-7 at the end of the first quarter, so they were playing them very strong. When they went in at the half, they were only down by 11, 21-10. But I think the depth at the end of the game, with the difference of FCS and Division II, kind of wore down on Limestone at the end. You could tell that Gardner-Webb just kept bringing in fresh bodies. But really impressed with the way that they played. They play extremely hard. They look like they're well coached on defense. They look like they're well coached on offense. They mix things up. Their quarterback is 6'7", so he's going to see the field and survey the field very well. They throw the ball very well. Last year they had 2 wide receivers that made the 53-man rosters in the NFL. So that tells you a little bit about the athletes that they're bringing in there. This is going to be a heck of a test for us. We don't know a whole bunch about them other than what we've seen on film a little bit last year and then the game this year. But they're going to be a strong test for us, especially coming off a team that they playing in the FCS. They're going to be a little bit better matched against us from a depth standpoint. So we'll see how we go. Hopefully our conditioning is going to win out.
Obviously, I thought conditioning was a factor. We looked, and no knock on Catawba, we looked very much in shape, and that was if it was any factor, it was a plus for us Saturday.
I think it was. It was a very hot day. And, that's a credit to our guys and how they prepared themselves leading up to this summer. Leading up to this camp and into the season. They worked extremely hard this summer to get themselves in shape, and it did tell. And any time that you can separate yourself in the third and fourth quarter from another opponent, usually conditioning is going to play a big part of that. Sometimes you have big plays and there's momentum switches because of a big play or a turnover. But that was just simply a deal where I think we were in very, very good condition, and we kept going and kept putting the pressure on those guys.
Coach, have a great week, and let's look forward to Saturday.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
The Limestone Saints, 2 o'clock, Wolf Walk at 12:30. Come early, tailgate with us, and enjoy Wolves football and be in the stands to support this team. 1-0 West Georgia against Limestone. 2 o'clock kickoff Saturday, Ra-Lin Field at University Stadium. For SMI and for head coach David Dean, I'm Mitch Gray. Thanks for joining us.